you'll be less acidic. Acidic is pro-inflammatory and pro-cancer, so you want to be a little less acidic, or you want to be more basic.
Welcome again to Inside Out. I'm James Catledge, your host, and today we're doing something very special. I have had a fascination with anti-aging, longevity, whatever I've got to do to stay healthy. One of the things that I think got me through some of my difficult periods, and we've discussed those in previous episodes, I think is my health. I think that a healthy mind and a healthy body help us get through some of these more difficult, dark periods. And so I've been fascinated with this subject and this subject line. And so I'm so pleased to announce today that we are going to have a regular series where I feature my very good friend, Dr. Jeff Gross, who is a brain surgeon by trade, by education, a neurosurgeon, a spine, and an expert in this arena, thousands of procedures. And so Jeff has agreed to join me on a monthly basis for a series on anti-aging, longevity, and health span. And so today I'm going to introduce you to my friend, Dr. Gross, and we're going to get into how he came to this space. Doctor, welcome.
Thank you so much. This is awesome.
Yeah, good to have you here. We've had so many discussions privately about these subjects, and I don't mind telling the audience, this is the guy I go to when I've got questions about anything, whether it's Ozempic, whether it's peptides, whether it's red light therapy, any cold plunge. I was hoping you taught me out of that, but it doesn't sound like that's a good idea. It sounds like I need to do
cold
it.
plunges are fantastic. If I could just take a moment outside of the introduction here.
Yes.
But there's one thing you have to know about them. Okay. They're cold.
They're right. Exactly. That's why I hoped you would talk me out of it. Let's back up just a second and get into how Dr. Gross gets to this space of anti-aging. This is obviously a frontier that applies to all of us. It's there's a lot of things happening in this space right now that make us feel we could live a long time.
Right.
Mortality tables are extending. Actuaries are extending life as we speak. And so tell me how you get, let's go back a little bit. I want the audience to know you like I know you. Tell me how you decide as a young man, number one, that you want to pursue neurosurgery. You want to be a surgeon on the brain and the spine. How did that happen?
Well, if it's probably not clear to the viewers at home or the listeners from us just starting out here, but I'm a nerd. So that started early. Yeah.
Okay.
That started very early, and I knew I wanted to be a doctor at a very early age.
How early?
Probably when my mother was whispering it into my crib.
Wow.
And I don't know.
So since you can recall.
Yeah, I mean, I was the one who would catch the frogs outside, and they were wounded, and try to help them, and the birds, and you
wanted to mend them,
right?
Fix them,
help people, and we all have those childhood experiences. I saw a child fall off a swing and have a laceration and was bleeding, and it was traumatic. But and the phrase was, oh, he cracked his head open, although he probably didn't fracture anything. It was just the blood, right? So that was influential.
Okay.
And then I remember in high school, just having this, liking to do with my hands, tinkering with things.
Yeah.
And when you go into medicine later, I'm jumping ahead.
Yeah.
We branch into two philosophies: those who want to think about it, and
who are they?
The general medicine doctors tend to be the more on the thought, but not acting with their own hands.
Okay.
Whereas the surgeons want to jump in and
do it
and just twist something into place, right?
Interesting. So there is a branching off in medical school of those two areas.
Yeah, there's sort of whether it's chicken or the egg, which came first, there is a division that there's a self-sorting, if you will.
Mm-hmm. And you discovered that in medical school.
I already knew where I was headed.
You were going to be the fix-it guy.
Right. We filled out a little form when we got to medical school that said, what specialty do you think you want to be? We were given the same form in the last week. And mine said neurological surgery on both. Like it was
wow.
Medical school was basically a stepping stone to get to where I was going.
You knew entering medical school, neurological surgery is where you wanted to go.
Right.
Okay. So with that said, let's explain this to the audience. Neurological surgery means you do surgery on my brain.
Brain, spine, nerves, and certain pain and movement disorders.
How many procedures would you estimate you've done?
Well, I've been practicing 25 years now, and if you include my residency and fellowship with another 7, that's 32 years.
Wow.
So, and even in med school, I participated. I didn't really perform them towards the end of med school. So, I mean, it's thousands.
Thousands of surgeries.
I've done, probably a couple thousand lumbar disc surgeries, probably 1,500 to 2,000 neck surgeries.
Wow.
And then, I did practice brain surgery for quite a while, but as a trained spine surgeon, my love later became the spine. So
fixing the pain.
So yeah, finding the problem. It turns out the spine's more complex. Anatomy and more intricate and more of a puzzle to sort out.
Okay.
And the brain is less rewarding, as it turns out. So many tumors and things we just can't get a handle on.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, so with that, that's the background. How do we go from all of that training, all of that background, filled out the application, front side, back side of medical school to be a neurological surgeon, and here we find ourselves today applying all that expertise into this wonderful new frontier of anti-aging. How did you get there?
Well, we can thank my patients. There's a thing that's said in residency and fellowship, you learn how to do surgery as a surgeon.
Yes.
And in practice, you learn how to avoid it. So I've always been really good at making surgery the very last option. I do way fewer surgeries than my colleagues.
That's good to hear.
I'd much rather find someone a non-surgical solution unless there's some type of emergency.
Wouldn't we all?
However, there's a gap, and that gap is between non-surgical treatments and then something quite significant like surgery.
Yeah.
And I notice going to the annual spine surgery meetings each year that nothing really changes.
Yeah.
The same 2 surgeries of the spine, generally speaking, are done now that were done in the 1950s. And this is either what's called decompression, making more room in the spine, or fusing the spine, locking bones together that were originally not locked together. And now there's a slight variety with this artificial disc where you
can start placing space.
Right. We have a mobile fusion of sorts. But even though there's a new approach or new widget, it's the same.
There's 3 procedures.
Right. And I noticed that there are a great many patients who go through the usual bouts of treatment, physical therapies, chiropractic care, anti-inflammatory medications, getting in shape, strengthening the core, maybe injections such as epidural spinal injections for pain management. But some of them, they come back, well, it helps temporarily, but it's really not a solution. And they come in, what else you got, Doc? Well, I guess we'll look at the surgical menu. Oh, wait a minute, Doc, I'm not ready for that. Well, great, because I really didn't want to offer it to you. So then they would start with, how about lasers? How about leeches? How about acupuncture? How about stem cells? And stem cells hit me on the head a few times like a rubber mallet. And you've probably heard this, chance favors the prepared mind. Yeah. So the prepared mind here was my undergraduate work is in molecular cell biology and biochemistry. And we learned all about cellular processes and all kinds of things. And it was very interesting to this nerd. Yeah. But, you're on a path towards med school and residency and practice that what you learned in in undergraduate school, although very interesting, really doesn't get used much. Right. But wait. Here's an opportunity for me to tap back into that. Yeah. So instead of going to the annual meeting about 6 years ago for the spine surgery, I said, you know what? I'm going to do something different because that's always the same. I know what they're going to say there. Yeah. And I went to a regenerative medicine meeting. Okay. And then it reopened my eyes to the science and what has transpired in the 32 years since I graduated from college. Yeah. And I said, wow, this is not only ready for prime time, I'm missing it. I wish I had this tool. So I re-educated, I read, I did the deep dive, and and I did it to offer a new tool, a new option for my spinal patients.
So this was born out of the idea that I would prefer to not do surgery on you. I would prefer another solution.
It was, people were clamoring for it. They were asking it. It was a buzz phrase.
This is being driven by your patients.
It was.
They were asking you the questions.
I would not have done it had they not brought it. Okay. I didn't mind it because it was wonderful, and it's blossomed into so much more, and that's how we got there.
So you're doing this. This is your new practice.
I still do consultations for the spine. If I do a handful of surgeries, so be it. But those patients have tried everything else, and it's the only thing left.
That's the last resort, and people are going to need that last resort. But you dedicate your passion today is in this cellular regeneration, right?
Yeah.
Stem cells.
Biological optimization through, regeneration,
right?
And that accidentally leads to slowing of the aging process,
right?
And you cannot be in regenerative medicine and not practice anti-aging medicine because they are significantly overlapping.
How about that? So, as a doctor with all this background, do you believe the mortality of the human, the male, the female, is being extended dramatically more right now than it has been in previous decades, that we're seeing an extension in the life?
If you take out the COVID dip,
I would say
yes.
Remove that from the averages.
I would say yes.
So you're seeing people living longer because of these new techniques.
I think the data speaks for itself, and we have some of, not the highest, but some of the highest in the first world in terms of
the research
average lifespan. If you look at tables now, let's talk about those tables for a second.
Where are we on the tables?
So the tables are about 82 for a woman and 79 for a man.
Okay.
They took a little dip after COVID. Now, remember, those tables are all comers, meaning
everybody.
Diabetics, people
Heart
who
disease.
Drink and smoke all day, and
obese, morbidly obese.
Right. So we're looking at the average move, right?
Sure.
The average lifespan.
So to move that is significant. To move the large pool is significant.
Correct.
That's not the unique audience that's looking to take every edge, every advantage, every corner.
Right, which is what we do, and the kind of people that flock to me are those people. So I have a skewed population, but that's great. But we really want to educate even those that aren't already inclined, right? So everyone can benefit from the health that comes with this.
Do you think that's coming with the GLP-1 drugs?
In part.
Do you think the masses are headed your direction, basically, toward this health span, this longevity? Because they're going to lose the weight. They're going to be on Ozempic. They're going to be on Wegovy. They're going to do, because I believe the insurance companies are going to begin to pay for this.
You're going to get me in trouble here, but I think that a good percentage of the population wants a magic pill, and the GLP agonists are the magic pill. They're not going to do anything else.
So you believe that crowd who finds himself in that boat of being morbidly obese is going to do the magic pill and then perhaps continue with their habits?
Absolutely. There'll be a few crossovers.
They're not chasing the edge.
Correct. I think there'll be some crossovers, but I don't think this is going to change the mindset in general. I think what will help is if we do change what food additives there are and what seed oils should be restricted and microplastics and all these things.
The food pyramid, which is a joke.
So if we have more like a European structure of what goes into our food source, I think we would be better off. And it sounds like, without getting political, that may be afoot.
Yeah, we may be getting closer.
There are people right now, protesting in front of Kellogg's headquarters today as we speak. Right.
I think we're getting there. We're starting to get it from the general population that we may have been poisoned for years without realizing it.
Right.
Yeah, and I want to. You're going to be featured at least monthly here on Inside Out, and we're going to get into that. I want a whole episode dedicated to the poisoning of America. I really do. I think that's a subject that you would really help us with today. I really want to introduce the audience to this idea. What all is included when you say longevity, health span, and those that are chasing the edge? What all is included in that? If I'm chasing the edge, what do I need to be thinking about?
Well, I mean, top to bottom, we do a remodel of your lifestyle, right? And some people don't need it; they're already there.
The ones you meet probably are somewhere in the spectrum, chasing the edge, or they wouldn't be in your office.
Right, and we those of us that chase the edge are called biohackers.
Okay, very good. Good term.
Or health and longevity enthusiasts or optimizers.
Yeah.
So we start with the basics. Let's talk about diet and when you eat, how much you eat, how much protein you get, where do you get your protein?
Okay.
Are you fasting? Are you doing
intermittent fasting?
Let's talk about that phrase.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to eat in the dark.
Right.
So we call it fasting, but really it's time restricted eating, or
when the sun is up, you should be eating.
Right.
When the sun goes down, you should stop eating.
Right. Yeah. And hopefully we'll get into that at some point with great biological detail. But we are biological animals. We are not meant to deal with pro-inflammatory metabolism, meaning eating.
Yes.
After the sun goes down, we should be relaxing, settling down, letting our cortisol, our stress hormone, run out.
Yeah.
And letting our melatonin, the relaxation hormone, kick in, or taking a supplemental, turning off screens and other stimulants, and going to bed.
Headed toward bed.
Right. And why? Why do we sleep?
Yeah.
We repair. We have cellular repair processes that only happen in the dark.
Right.
With melatonin and other, cellular cascades, and we need to support that. So sleep is number 2. We got diet.
Okay.
We got sleep, and that doesn't mean hours of sleep alone. It could be the whole restorative nature of sleep. How deep do you sleep? How good is that sleep hygiene, they call it?
Right. How clean is the sleep?
And then we go to supplements, because we do have a nutritional gap. We're not eating completely perfectly organic,
whole food,
wild grown, diverse,
right?
Fruits and vegetables and greens enough to get the right nutrients. So supplements, vitamins, and then we may go into exercise, how to get efficient, muscle gain and weight bearing exercise. Both muscle mass and bone density are highly associated with longevity. So if you want to live longer, the easy thing to do is keep moving.
Muscle mass and bone density. And how can I measure those if I'm interested in knowing that?
Well, you can look in the mirror at your muscle mass.
Okay.
That's
Take
easy.
your clothes off and evaluate.
Right.
Yeah.
You could also get a device. Some of the scales will do an estimate of your your body fat percentage.
Where you stand on it and it's shooting. What's it doing? Shooting light up in through?
No,
what's happening?
It's impedance. So it sends a minuscule electrical signal you don't feel in picking it up, and it has some estimate based on how much of that electrical signal gets back.
Interesting.
Yeah, it gets
so it sends a
body
signal
comp.
up, and if 42% of it comes back, they can do an estimation based on your weight.
Right.
Interesting.
Based
do
on
you
your
find
height,
it pretty
weight,
accurate?
I think it trends reasonably well. It's good enough for this activity.
Yeah.
You can go do something fancier, like one of the DEXA scans does body composition.
And DEXA is a brand.
It's a
technique.
It's not a brand. It is a technique involving like an X-ray device. So it's radiation. So I don't know if you want to do any extra radiation than we already have in our environment.
But I'm going to lay on a table, and they're going to slowly scan my entire body, and I can see that scan.
Right.
How thorough is that scan?
It's excellent.
It's excellent.
Yeah.
It's going to tell me that this arm weighs more than this arm.
Right.
It's going to tell me this arm has more fat than this arm.
Right. It'll break down your body composition accurately. There are other methods, dunk tanks and things, but this is the easy way to do it. And then, interestingly, we talk about bone density measurement. You do need the DEXA for that. So if you're going to do a DEXA, you might as well do the bone density and the body mass. Yeah.
Can you see in the DEXA, can I see an increase in my bone density as I age if I'm doing things properly? Can I see an increase in that?
Well, you measure the results and you have an objective comparison to an earlier exam.
I guess I'm asking, can I actually increase my bone density
you
as
actually
I age?
can.
That's what I'm asking.
Right. And it's not the age, it's the weight-bearing exercise and
Got
the
it.
vitamin D and the hormone status, which might be the next item on the list.
Oh, interesting.
Hormone optimization, both for men and women, is crucial. And
Okay.
not just testosterone and estrogen, progesterone. We're talking about others as well, thyroid. And that opens up a whole new area of what's called peptides.
How do you evaluate hormone levels so that I'm your patient? How do you know that I need to be addressed from a hormone standpoint? How do you know?
I ask you 50 questions.
Okay.
How's your energy? How's your sleep? How's your libido? How's this? How's that?
In essence, you're evaluating, scoring me. You're scoring me.
Yeah, I mean, we're checking your hormonal quality of life, and then we do blood tests.
So there's a lipid panel that can reveal to you
It's
how my hormone level is.
Hormone. Yeah, we look at the hormone levels.
Okay.
And that could be tricky. It's a little bit easier with men than women because women have cyclicity.
Okay.
Much more than men. But women tend to maintain good hormone levels until perimenopause, then they fall off a cliff. Whereas men have a very subtle decline typically.
When you say perimenopause, is that just before menopause?
Yes, but it's really when symptoms start.
Okay.
As the hormones are declining.
What age range is that for women?
It's earlier and earlier. We can see it in the late 30s and 40s
Wow.
now. Yeah, and men too. We're seeing a decreased testosterone earlier and earlier, and we think it may have something to do with
Food.
What's in the food and water source, and which takes us to another point on the list of what else we look at is removing harmful toxins and things. Are you getting glycophosphates in your food?
From our deodorant?
Deodorant. Do you live near a high power line? Do you sleep with your phone under your pillow and are you getting electromagnetic waves? All kinds of pro-inflammatory, cellular damaging things that we call modern convenience, right?
Right.
And then we also look at other things, damaging rays from the sun. However, so many people are staying out of the sun that they're also missing out on some health benefits.
Yeah, you need some sun.
Right.
Yeah, we're designed to be in the sun.
Right.
Yeah.
And so those are things we look at. And
so if I come to see you, I come to your office, and I want you to reevaluate me head to toe. I'm an edge seeker. I'm seeking advantages.
Yep.
How long would it take me to be fully evaluated by you or your team?
Well, we would start out. A lot of our patients, by the way, don't live here locally.
They fly in.
They video in, and we start there. And we do
a Zoom interview.
We do it that way.
Okay.
And we start, and it might take 1 or 2 visits. It might take 6 or 8 visits to get through all this.
Got it.
There may depends on how much cleaning up we have to do.
Yeah.
Is it just a tidying up,
Where do we begin?
Yeah. Do we need a deep clean? So and we dig in, and we're not gonna do it all in one session necessarily.
I'm not leaving here with a binder.
Right.
We
start because if it's too much, it's too much for them.
Do it.
We want to start with small habits leading up to big changes, and then the very last thing would be, can we optimize peptides?
Let's just shift to that. I want to shift. Peptides is a big thing. You and I have had lots of private conversations about peptides. Tell us what a peptide is and what it's doing in the body generally.
So in its purest form, a peptide is simply a small protein.
Okay.
And it's made up of amino acids.
Okay.
And they have been in us forever.
Okay.
I mean, let's name some.
Okay.
Insulin.
All right.
Let's say endorphin.
All right.
Happy endorphins,
Okay.
right? All these little
Oxytocin.
Oxytocin's one. Melatonin.
Serotonin.
No, serotonin is. I don't think it's a peptide. It's just a neurotransmitter.
Adrenaline.
Adrenaline is. I don't know how many amino acids it has. Maybe. I have to look at it.
Okay.
Well, adrenaline's epinephrine. It may not be a peptide. But if you take a few amino acids and string them together, you got a peptide.
Okay.
So most of them are naturally occurring.
Okay.
Some of them are slightly tweaked, like GLP-1 agonists.
Okay, so that is a peptide. GLP-1. So Ozempic and Wegovy, these fat weight loss drugs, these are peptides.
Right.
Okay. How long have peptides been available to the consuming public?
Well, I mean, insulin's been around for decades.
Medically prescribed. Okay. But I'm hearing far more about peptides today than I ever have. Yeah. Well, what's happened that's allowed peptides to almost explode into the marketplace? Because it seems everywhere. It seems like for every problem, there's a peptide to solve it.
the lesson here is there is probably a solution to most things in biology. We just have to look and learn.
Okay.
And we have learned a lot about peptides in the last decade because most of the good and early research came out of Russia and was behind that red curtain. So opening the curtain and sharing information helped.
Interesting.
And
Were there scientists using peptides to compete in the Olympics?
Probably.
Okay.
On that side of the fence.
They were busy with the peptides to strengthen their population.
Right. And not just strengthen, I mean all kinds of things, right. And
Heal.
you can't detect them because they're naturally occurring. They mimic.
Right. A peptide cannot be tested for.
Right. Unless it's
some overly concentrated amount.
Or it's tweaked and it's not naturally occurring. Like a GLP-1 agonist is slightly tweaked. It's not naturally occurring.
It could be tested for.
Right.
Right. Why am I hearing about it in the performance enhancing arena? Like weightlifters are using it, bodybuilders are using it, and they're using different types of peptides. And can it be tested for? Like if I'm in the Olympics and I'm a sprinter and I'm using peptides to enhance my performance, can you identify that?
I don't think so. I think they're almost quickly within a day they're metabolized, they're used, and
so there's an efficiency of my system, my machinery is being made more efficient with peptides.
Right.
Is that
some of them. It depends on the peptide.
All right, let's get into some of them.
All right.
One I've heard of. I'm going to just name some. This rookie's heard of. BP 157. BPC 157.
Body protection compound.
Okay.
Known to
Sounds
support.
pretty good.
Known to support healing, collagen production. It helps cellular metabolism. It's really good for cells of the gastrointestinal lining.
Why would everyone not want BPC 157?
It's not known to hurt anybody. So why would
we not?
Right.
Why would that not be at Walgreens?
Right. Coming to a Walgreens near you.
You think it
soon.
could be?
Yeah.
You think what they've discovered in BPC 157 is good enough, researched enough that it could in fact be pushed out by Big Pharma to Walgreens near us?
Sadly, that's what it's going to take, as opposed to making it just available to the public.
They control it. Mm-hmm. And it won't be called BPC 157.
Right.
Yeah, it'll be called injury protection pills or whatever.
Right. And they'll cost a lot.
And it works with your background. You know this BPC 157 is effective at healing tendons.
It helps.
Producing collagen.
It helps. And there is an injury too great for it to fix it on its own.
A rupture would be too great.
There are a few peptides we use together when you're healing an injury called the Wolverine protocol.
Okay.
From Wolverine and the X-Men.
All right.
Because he always healed himself quite readily.
Right.
It was before Deadpool came out. I guess.
This is a real thing, the Wolverine protocol.
Right. It's BPC 157. It's TB 500 and GHKCU.
Wow.
That was called the copper peptide.
Break these three down for me. I know BPC 157, and we've just explained it to the audience, but what are the other two?
Thymosin beta is a different peptide that
What's it attacking?
stimulates. It stimulates muscle gain and cell metabolism. There are others that do that better, though.
Okay.
You talk about the CJC 1295
We're going to get into that.
Ipamorelin.
But this is the Wolverine. I've been injured on the tennis court. I'm a professional tennis player. I may be administered the Wolverine.
You probably will be. And this is what, certain quarterbacks who may play for the Jets did last year.
He could have had the Wolverine.
He probably did. And the copper peptide is part of that protocol.
Is this helping inflation, creating an anti-inflation environment?
Yep. Anything that's good cellular metabolism is usually. Let's talk about this because it's overarching.
Yeah.
When you eat, you store food, right? You make insulin, you store food.
Yeah.
And then when you're really hungry and you haven't eaten in a while, you're burning. You have to tap into your burning.
Right. My reserves.
So you have kind of two metabolisms. You're either storing or burning.
Right.
And we call that anabolism or catabolism.
Okay.
You've heard of anabolic, right?
Sure.
Means to put on its grow. So our cells are kind of like that. They're either inflammatory or anti-inflammatory of sorts. And most of the anti-inflammatory activity happens during the dark phase.
At night.
But again, why sleep is so important. But a a lot of biomolecules and peptides and hormones and other things that we've talked about and will talk about, work on the cell, and everything you do that supports that anti-inflammatory cascade of activities, cellular metabolism in the cell, slows the degeneration of the cell, the tissues, the body, slows the biological aging, and anything that's pro-inflammatory works against you. It's degenerative.
Wow.
So,
inflammation is the enemy.
Chronic leaky inflammation is the enemy.
And all of these peptides attempt to address that.
Not all of them, but the popular ones you and I are talking about here,
they're dealing with inflammation.
There are others called bioregulators that help glands function better and things like that.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, the more popular ones, the ones that the biohackers are using, the people in the gym or healing an injury, those have a high anti-inflammatory profile.
Wow. And so that's got crossover effects to anti-aging.
Of course.
Yeah. Anytime we can knock down I keep wanting to say inflation. We want that down too.
Well,
this is inflammation, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so I did not know about the Wolverine. That's very interesting. So whenever a professional athlete is getting really that attention from a medical staff, they're probably benefiting from some of this access.
Probably.
Yeah. It's allegedly. We can say allegedly they're getting this.
Well, these things are not on the banned list. NBA banned list, NFL banned list.
And doctors can get to this stuff.
Well, interesting. So here you go with the regulation piece. Doctors are not allowed to prescribe them, but these can be obtained as a regular person
I can
online.
just get them.
Right.
Online.
Right.
Got it.
I can coach you. We can talk about them.
You can tell me which ones are good for me, and I have to go get them.
Right.
You can't. They're not. What is that? A Schedule I drug?
I don't know.
Is that what a prescription
they're not
is?
scheduled. I don't know that they're scheduled. Yeah, but don't quote me exactly. I'm not sure. I just know I can't write a prescription for them.
Interesting. All right, so let's get into some of the others. What you threw out just briefly there, CJC 1295.
Yeah,
I've heard of this one.
Right,
and this is a muscle builder.
Yeah, I mean it supports lean muscle mass. It helps with collagen production.
What's happening with it?
It's binding.
Am I injecting this or drinking this?
These are almost all of them
are injected.
Now the
subcutaneously,
or into the
muscle?
Just under the skin.
Okay,
no, none of these go into
a fat area.
A little fat under the skin, which we always have some.
Yeah,
and they usually it's a day. Most of these are every day for a month. Some are a month on, month off.
So they're metabolized within 24 hours. Most of these
they're largely gone quickly. Yeah,
okay.
They're small. They don't require to be broken down.
CJC 1295 does.
Right. Yeah, it would be great for injuries and for muscle gains and athletic performance and maybe a little fat burning.
Anti-aging?
They're all
because
anti-inflammatory / anti-aging.
How about that?
Well, the ones we're talking about, I'm sure there are opposing pro-inflammatory peptides, but who would want those?
No, exactly.
Right.
What's the one GPRH6? And I may have the letters crossed
I think
up.
you do. I think you're talking about one of the growth hormone releasers.
Okay.
And this is a molecule that stimulates the pituitary gland to release growth hormone, which
growth hormone is coming from our pituitary gland traditionally.
Right.
If I'm producing it without any assistance, it's coming from the pituitary gland.
Right.
At night.
Mostly at night.
While I sleep.
Right. I mean, it's not fully turned off in the daytime.
Okay.
But
is it coming to me in a pulse? How am I getting it normally?
It probably is pulsed.
It's pulsating into my body.
Well,
from my pituitary gland.
It's pulsatil release, not like with heartbeats, but there's probably
it's
a
got its
peak.
own engine here. It's dripping it into my system.
Correct. And as we age, we just don't make as much.
Okay.
And by the way, let's talk about the name of growth hormone for a minute.
Okay.
It doesn't. It's not the only name it should have because it is responsible for growth during childhood, but after that,
it's what makes me grow.
Yes, until you stop growing, and then it's an anti-inflammatory hormone.
Oh, interesting.
So it's a powerful anti-inflammatory hormone.
So if I'm taking a growth hormone after I'm grown, I'm now into an anti-inflammatory peptide.
Right. And, you don't want to take too much because then you'll start to get a disease called acromegaly, like Andre the Giant. And you'll have a big brow and jaw and hands.
Features begin to expand.
Some features. Your growth plates in your long bones are fused. So
they're locked down.
Unless you have acromegaly as a child, you'll be a normal size with these funny looking features. Tony Robbins, for example, has dealt with some acromegaly as well.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's just something he was born genetically with.
Right. Yeah. Or you can get a pituitary gland that's has a small benign tumor that makes growth hormone, and you can get that from taking certain pharmaceuticals and other weird things.
It could be later on, like this fella from James Bond movies, Jaws. That fella, he's obviously got something.
He probably does, right?
Yeah, he's like a giant that continues to appear to grow. Yeah.
Probably.
All right, so normally without a peptide, we are all releasing, females and males, releasing through the pituitary gland growth hormone.
We are.
If I'm 80, am I still releasing it, just less of it?
Probably a little.
Still a little
teeny
trace.
Bit. Right.
So a peptide could assist a middle-aged person at recovering some of that youthful release of the growth hormone.
Right. This is very popular.
Yeah. Okay. So you're seeing this in hormone replacement therapy.
We are, but we can't prescribe it for that reason. We're allowed to prescribe growth hormone, also a peptide, for growth hormone deficiency.
Oh, I see.
So how do you define that? What? Okay. So it's a little dicey,
so
but you can get it.
What would that be called? Nortotropin?
Yeah, nortotropin is a brand of recombinant growth hormone.
That's an artificial version of growth hormone. But
it's bioidentical, meaning it is growth hormone.
It's mirroring mine.
It just happens to be made in some yeast cells.
Got it.
In a vat.
I see. So if I was using nortotropin, I would be adding to my own supply from my own pituitary gland. So I'd be doubling up, I guess.
You'd probably be more than doubling, but yes.
Got it. So this is what could be prescribed.
Yes, but people tend to just get it,
Oh, without.
Yeah,
I see.
online.
It's available.
Or
you take black market.
Or you take these peptides that support the release of more growth hormone.
Which sounds safer to me. It sounds like a safer approach.
It's probably a little more subtle.
Getting my body to do it.
Yeah.
Is that the idea behind the peptides? Getting me to do
it? Yes and no. Some of these peptides work directly. Some work on your gland system to release something else.
Okay.
It's okay. I mean, the endocrine system is very complex. The glands and all these releasing, and then the feedback loops, and I mean, it's
the health of my gland versus maybe someone else's or me at a younger age.
And some people will actually go on for a month, go off for a month to give their body a chance to produce more, and
Is that a real thing?
It can be. It can be.
Is that effective?
It depends. It might be useful. Like some people, for example, men need testosterone at a certain level and a certain age sometimes. And, there's some school of thought that says, well, they should go on and go off, although stop producing their own. Well, but they're not producing enough on their own. So you need,
Right. So it's a bit of old wives' tale here.
Well, you got to do some balancing. You got to stay on top of it. You got to ask questions. You got to do lab tests. You got to not just ignore
What's the right level of testosterone? I know there's a measurement. I don't know if it's 0 to 1,000, but maybe it's much higher than that. What is the range, and where should a man be, a healthy male?
Well, that's highly variable.
Okay.
And it depends on the lab, but usually 300s to 800s.
Is where I should be?
Well, yeah, that's what the lab says.
Okay.
And now that's a very large...
It's a huge gap.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you look at the breakdown, they'll say, oh, yeah, a teen or in your 20s, it should be in the 800s. And then, an 80-year-old man should be 250.
But if the 80-year-old man would like to be in the gym,
then he needs to have
more.
A little extra. So that's the whole point of chicken and the egg, right? What came first? Do we age? No, let me start over. Are our hormones depleting because we're aged, or are we aging because our hormones deplete?
Interesting.
So we like to follow the second one now, and by replacing them, slow the biological process of aging.
Yeah. Because we all see pictures of men on social media who appear to still have a 6-8 pack.
Right.
And they're in their 80s and apparently are in there lifting weights.
Oh, yeah, and they should be.
So it's back to longevity with the muscle mass and the bone density.
Right.
And so if they need a testosterone replacement therapy to get to the gym,
then
by all means, that's what they ought to get.
Right.
Got it.
Agreed.
So that range again, that's
It's
big.
in the
Where
three-
do you think it should be? I mean, I
depends.
know 3 to 8 sounds
This is
so
called
broad.
precision medicine. So if
Wouldn't I
you,
want to be 8?
maybe it might be too much for you. You may have rage.
I
you might
see.
your body may be.
got it.
You might be a 650 guy. I don't know.
So at 8, I got you. So these are some of the side effects of higher testosterone.
Right.
It does create some anger issues.
It can. I have a guy that's over 1,000, and that's where he feels good, and he has no side effects. So
And he's not coming in crazy. He seems
not.
to be quite mentally healthy.
He hasn't pissed anyone off yet.
Got it.
that I'm aware of.
Because you do hear people say things like road rage, or not road rage, roid rage.
Roid rage, right?
Which is, I guess, steroid-related
That's
rage.
anabolic steroid, right?
All right. So that's something too. And that's not testosterone.
No, anabolic steroids are not testosterone. Now, testosterone is a hormone. It is a steroid molecule. It's formed on a certain shape of a molecule.
So this is not naturally produced in the body.
Testosterone is anabolic steroids. We have our own internal anabolic steroids, but some of the designer
This is an artificial
ones are
entry.
artificial. Yeah,
That's why it can be tested for.
Right.
Because it's not naturally occurring in the body.
they're a little bit easier to test for, but yeah.
Got it. Is that kind of going out the window now with the advent of peptides and testosterone therapy and human growth hormone
Maybe.
therapy? I don't hear as much about it.
I don't either. There are a lot of other options now, so
You can
it's
go
still there.
almost healthier,
Yeah.
and maybe get the same outcomes.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe not the same outcomes because anabolic steroids are just crazy in
I
their
see.
results.
Just for the audience's benefit, name some of the anabolic steroids that they may have heard of. So we know we're separating these from peptides. I know I'll throw a few. Dynabol,
Right.
okay.
And these are brand names.
Trimbone or Trim.
Yeah, these are all brand names, right? The,
Okay,
the actual molecules have different names. So
got it.
I don't always know the brand names, but yeah, they have their nicknames, right? Trim and
Dynabol.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. What are some of the others? Not sure.
Outside my specialty, I don't
Not
know
sure.
because we don't prescribe them.
Yeah, right. Do you know the chemical names?
I would recognize them from a list.
Got it. Okay. So basically, because I don't hear about that anymore. I used to hear about it a lot as a younger man. I used to hear a lot about that. So it looks like things have shifted a bit to a more healthy outcome for folks.
I think so. Based on what we're hearing,
Yeah.
now we're hearing a skewed bit of information, and we're looking at what we see, and I suppose there are still pockets in certain gyms where
Probably. But I like the
they're
idea
out
that
there.
I can visit with my doctor now, and he can actually do a blood panel on me and say, you need this peptide, this testosterone replacement therapy, and we can manage it here. We can monitor it here and know that you're healthy.
Right.
As opposed to back of a magazine phone number where I've got to dial into a black market and get a steroid, and I can't talk to my doctor about it.
Right, and who knows where it's come from and all that. So
And its efficacy, we don't know if it's done right. Right. So it looks like things have moved for the population into a much more healthy place.
I hope so.
Right. Okay. So back to anti-aging and longevity. Are there any things that you would say right away I could be doing at home right now that would enhance my lifespan, and that you would just recommend that these need to be, you need to do these now? No excuses. These must be done if you expect to live the longest possible.
Yeah, we can make a quick starter list for everyone. So the first and foremost is close the kitchen when the sun goes down. Have dinner. Clean the kitchen, load the dishwasher, and leave the room. Now you're done eating.
Got it.
You can have water.
Okay.
No calories, no chips, no cookies, no nothing.
Boy, and people stay up late. We're talking about several hours
of
no intake.
If you get hungry because you're staying up late, go to bed.
Okay.
Go to bed.
All
get
right.
a little extra sleep.
Is it okay to go to bed hungry?
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't just
But like if your stomach's
horribly
growling,
hungry.
no problem. Go to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to be fine.
You're going to be fine.
Drink
A glass of water.
Right.
You'll be fine.
All right.
And so you're doing really great things for your body.
Okay.
And then, wake up. And then for breakfast, have protein, not carbs.
Okay. Give me some examples.
Eggs,
Okay.
and more eggs.
Protein shake.
Yep.
So is that okay?
That's perfect.
Protein
or,
shake.
your meat of choice.
Okay.
Fish, like the Norwegians
Salmon.
and the Finns and the Russians do, and
Yes.
Eastern Europeans do.
All right.
Yeah, and all that.
Go to the
perfect.
gym?
You can, yeah. I mean, everyone should exercise, right? Not everyone goes in the morning.
What if I just walk? What if I just want to
Yeah,
go
I mean,
walk?
walking's great, but it's not enough exercise.
enough.
So buy the thick rubber stretchy bands, not
Okay.
the little ones from the physical therapist, but the real thick ones. Get a
Okay.
set of them. They're like $20, $25 online.
right.
And take them with you on your walk. Do a set of bench press. Do one set to failure as opposed to 5 sets.
Oh, okay.
If you work to failure, those last few reps where you're barely making it, that's where the
tearing the muscle.
longevity is made. It's not just tearing; you're releasing myokines, which are small peptides that you
okay.
make from your muscles that stimulate muscle growth, that help prevent dementia, that do all
They push
kinds of.
plaque out of the system.
I don't think they do that, but they are anti-inflammatory
Okay.
and pro-longevity.
Got it.
So if you
And
do
those are not released in a high set count without going to failure.
correct, if you do 5 sets of 10 and you got through it and you didn't work to failure, you're probably not really releasing much in terms of myokines.
What is my benefit?
Well, you're getting some probably cardiovascular and some muscle use and range of motion stuff, but you're not
Wow.
getting the kind of real work done.
The reason I'm lifting weights
Much rather
is to get here.
You can have a really efficient workout. You go for a walk. You take your bands. You figure out how to do the biceps and the triceps.
Yeah.
Hold it up here and
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
shoulders and
Yeah.
all have you.
Yeah.
Do some squats with them. Stop and do some lunges, whatever.
Right.
You-
All on my walk.
All in your walk, and on a day where you can't make it to the gym or something, and that's a great start.
I can even
And
see that
you
the
can
door
do-
handle of my home. It's
Yeah,
one of the doors in my house.
if you hey, I just want to relax and watch TV at night, get off the couch, get your bands, and watch your show while your bands are going.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Earn it. Earn your show.
Earn it. Okay. How about you keep saying water? How much water should I be consuming a day?
It varies, right? And water comes in many forms, right? It's not just water.
Sure.
So
a lot of things
you
have
could
water in them.
right? And you want if
This is not water.
Let me make it easy. If you're urinating and you can read the newspaper through it because it's very, very pale yellow, you're okay. If it's
You
dark,
mean read it through the color?
right? Don't actually do it. It was just
Yeah, you didn't mean hold the paper and go to the bathroom. You meant
Yeah.
you'd see through it.
right.
Got it. Okay.
So if you
Because I was thinking, man, it would get everywhere. If
It
I'm
will,
reading
yeah.
the paper, well, my girlfriend may not like this.
Yeah.
Right.
so you want if it's dark. Amber,
Oh, okay.
or even like a
see
a
your
stout. You don't want it.
emergency
Yeah. Well, drink a lot of water first, and then
Okay.
yeah. I mean that's the easy way. And
Amber means it's polluted.
yeah, it's concentrated,
The
meaning
kidneys are struggling to deal with
they're
it.
trying to reserve water,
Right.
and kidneys work a lot better when they're flushed. Now you could overflush them too, but
So if
that's
it's
rare.
straight white, that's not good either.
That can be. I mean, if you drink a lot of water, it can look
Clear.
like water. That's
problem.
fine. Yeah.
All right. So it varies, but it's probably at least 8 glasses of water a day.
Something
right?
like that. And but glass size varies. So
Sure.
how do you know you're
10
drinking
ounces.
enough?
I'm thinking like 10 ounces.
Yeah.
80 ounces of water
People
a day.
say 8, but depends on the size of the person. That's the
Sure,
recommendation.
tiny
but
person, yeah.
That could be for a 100-pound lady or a 200-pound guy.
Right.
They're one's twice the size.
How about naps? I'm feeling like at my age, I want more naps.
Well, I think with the right exercise, sleep, peptides, and what have you, you may not need a nap.
Okay. So if I'm feeling like I need a nap, some adjustments.
You may need maybe we can adjust that. I'd rather you go to bed an hour earlier.
Okay.
Than take an hour during the day.
Okay.
I don't think it's the worst thing, though. I mean, I'm not saying no, but
No, I'm talking midday. I'm feeling like, hey, you know what? I could slip away here.
well, yeah, we want to look at your energy levels and see what we can
All right.
do to
So that's
bulk that
not
up.
normal.
It's probably normal, but it's
not sign
it's
of
not
great
ideal.
health. It's not sign of
It's
great
not
health.
ideal. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, because I've always thought, boy, a guy taking a nap, he's got a really content situation here.
Well, if you could listen, if you can do it and
Yeah.
it's okay, and you're still doing all the other healthy stuff, it's not against it.
All right.
If you
How long do you want me sleeping?
well, everyone's different. 8 hours has been.
I've never
good
gotten
one.
8 hours.
But if you get restorative, deep, restful sleep And at 6.5 hours, I'm okay with it.
I measure my sleep at night
Right, you
using
use-
an Apple Watch.
Okay.
And I find myself getting very little deep, like 15 to 18 minutes of deep. And I mean, it's concerned me.
Right.
And then a lot of REM. I get a lot of REM, like an hour and a half of REM. And then the Apple's measure something called core sleep, which I don't really know what core is, but I know REM and deep.
Right.
But the core seems to be the bulk of the sleep.
Right.
So am I not getting enough deep?
Possibly. Are you
You
taking?
want me with more than 15 minutes?
Yeah.
of deep?
Are you taking melatonin?
No.
Okay.
No.
So even if you fall asleep okay,
Yeah.
melatonin will help support deeper sleep.
Helps me slip away deeper.
It's kind of the opposite of your cortisol. So you wake up in the morning, the sun, the light hits the retina of your eyes, stimulates the adrenal glands to release the stress hormone,
Yes.
cortisol, and boom, you get up and get stuff done.
Ready to go.
Okay, but you need to turn it off. And it's so hard to turn it off. People with the screens, the different kinds of
And they got
lights,
stuff going on.
So if you could take a melatonin at night, that hormone, it's a hormone peptide, does support the cellular processes of repair during the night. So it helps you kind of wind your cells down.
Okay.
And the opposite of the opposite of cortisol.
Is deep sleep physical restorative and REM cognitive restorative? Can you separate it like that?
I don't know that. REM is known for a dream state and that kind of thing. And it used to be equated with deep sleep, but now we know there are different types of sleep.
Yes.
You can study them by waveforms. There are new wearable tech devices where you can actually look at the waveforms.
Wow.
And there are devices you can wear to influence the waveforms, like a brain tap device.
Wow.
Where you wear a goggles and it has sound and lights and things that kind of
I'm not
trick
doing
your
any of
brain.
that. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, doing that.
Sounds a little
No,
crazy.
it's pretty popular right now.
Really?
Yeah,
Wearing the full shield to go to sleep?
Yeah.
I can't even imagine it.
Or people wear it during the day to kind of reset and do some different things. And if you can learn to diminish the neurostress,
Yeah.
you'll sleep better. Because neurostress, things you can't turn your brain off,
Yeah,
it's running,
yeah.
that is a pro-inflammatory activity for the body. So you do need to quiet the brain for the body.
Somehow.
Yeah.
Okay, last question here. So I wake up in the morning. I've been told by Dr. Andrew Huberman over and over again, don't drink coffee out of the gate. I need to delay the coffee consumption for at least an hour after I wake before I consume caffeine. Something about the sentient cells need to fully be released or dropped off. I mean, what do we know about this? Is this what is he talking about?
Listen, he does the deep dive. He's respected
For sure
in doing that. So I don't know what papers he's drawing from.
Okay.
I'd have to go back and watch that episode.
So are you drinking coffee right out of the gate?
I drink coffee usually, or something else. Nootropic.
Within minutes?
No,
Within 30 minutes.
After I get myself, clean
Pulled
and dressed
together.
and get downstairs, and I'm ready for that. And then my brain works better. And since I have a brain-intensive job, I want my brain
cognitively
roaring.
underway.
Yeah. I get my most, brain work done or homework
Early.
done in the morning hours for sure.
Prior to noon
Yep.
is when you're operating with all the horsepower.
Yep.
How about sunlight early as soon as I get up? Do you want the sun on my eyes quickly?
Yep. Go outside in your bare feet, touch the ground.
Before I'm dressed even?
Well, you could.
Put a robe on.
Just don't put
but,
shoes on. Yeah,
But you want it early.
Yeah, get outside.
Like make the bed and get out there.
Get the sun on your face for a few minutes. Touch your feet to the ground and ground yourself, and let those negative ions go to the earth, just like a grounded plug.
Okay.
And the fewer ions floating around in your body, the fewer acidic protons. So you'll be less acidic. Acidic is pro-inflammatory and pro-cancer. So you want to be a little less acidic, or you want to be more basic.
Yeah.
Although the kids misunderstand that. They call it something else.
Yeah,
right?
Sure. Right. But you want me in the sun quickly.
Yeah, early.
How long do I need
Just
to be
a few
out?
minutes.
Just to look. What's happening? Beta and gamma waves. What's happening there?
Oh, you're
taking those in.
You're stimulating the release of cortisol through your eyes. Your skin. You're activating some vitamin D2 into D3.
I'm releasing cortisol, not ramping it up.
Well, you probably already released some before the sun comes out, so you probably wrap it up.
I am ramping it up now because it's time to go to work. It's time to begin a productive day.
It's time to go hunt
and
gather.
Got it.
And defend your tribe.
For this. We're designed for this, and that's why the sun matters. That's why the eating in the dark is no good. Yeah, this all makes sense.
Yeah, your cells want that cycle, the rhythms. It's all about these circadian rhythms, these rhythms with the moon, these rhythms with the sun.
All this matters.
And we have evolved around that.
Yeah, I love it. This is going to be a great series. I look forward to taking this to the audience. And we're going to get a lot of feedback, and we're going to bring those questions to you directly.
Fantastic,
And we're going to feature Dr. Gross every month, and we're going to get into these subjects that matter most to us having a great life from the inside out. Thanks for being here. Dr. Gross, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.